My name is Isaac Biosse. I'm the personal photographer to the governor of Nairobi City County, Governor Jason Sakaja. I was a student at ADMI. Apart from that, I help in running a clothesline or to just run events on the side. So pretty much I'm in the public relations industry. At the time, I was looking for a school that offered creating skills, which were very minimal at the time. And ADMI at that time was the hottest thing around. And I was like, why not try? And I did my applications a couple of times and it went through. And for me, it is the technical bit that was so focused on. And for me, I really wanted to do media studies. And that was it for me, because I didn't want to just have the theory bit, but the practicality bit. Because also I had seen so much of photography and videography, and that's what I really wanted to do, and enroll, and I did digital media communication. It gave me a stepping stone, because initially, once I was done with my internship, actually during my internship, I had already done photography and all these other things, and I'd seen different types of photography. And when I was doing church photography at the time, but it wasn't one of the things that I really wanted to do. And I was really drawn into doing documentary photography and photojournalism. Chaos makes me alive. And at that time, we had the 2017 general elections coming on, and I liked everything about it. The chaos, people running around, people chanting for their leaders, and I was like, this is what I wanted to do. And while I was still doing marketing and communications at Spire, I kept asking for permission each and every time to go and document riots, protests, rallies, and I think photography was just calling me. And at a point, I was like, I had a conversation with supervisor. I was like, you know what, let me just go and do whatever ADMI taught me to do, and that's how I found myself doing photography. Part of the things that stood out for me was my one-to-one interaction with the lecturers. I think that was quite different for me. Most of the places you'd find the lecturers don't have a personal relationship with the students, and that really stood out for me. Because for me, at one point, it got so personal that at times as a student, at times you'd not have money for lunch, you'd have issues back at home, and I really had a lecturer who was more like a mom to me, and that really stood out for me. While the conversation that I couldn't have at home, I could have with her, and she would advise me on how to go about them. And even at times, you're like, let's go have lunch, and it was really a blessing. And two, I think for me what would stand out was the career launchpad. Career launchpad was something that set me up for the future, because the life skills, the different ways in how to dress at the workplace, how to communicate, how to eat. Those are things that really stood out for me, and I had to try them. At once, I think when I was in college, I bought a black suit, because I told like getting a black suit was mandatory for one, and I think that's the suit I wore when you were having, I think, an anniversary over here. That's why I wore a black suit. Just because of that was my first suit actually with ADMI. Funny enough, as I said earlier, I enjoy chaos. I think it also now has to do with my upbringing, because of the areas that I lived. Because I could see these things happening and no one could tell these stories. Fun fact is, I think throughout my education, I've studied in town. To start with, nursery, Central Day Primary School, Moi Avenue Primary School, high school, Jamhuri High School, college, ADMI, you get, and uni now, Daystar. You get, so I have a good visibility of Nairobi. So while in Moi Avenue Primary School, almost everything was happening, and UN those days used to protest. And I was like, wow, this is interesting. And I'd see teams running around Grogon, because from the school field, I could hear gunshots. And I was like, who's telling these stories? You get? And that's where my love for journalism started. And I remember each and every time journalists would come to school, they'd call Biosse, and I would yap, and yap. And that's how I got to really realize that the kind of photography that I wanted to tell was more of documenting, more of real time, more of real issues, and also that touched based on the human interest. So that's what I really focused on. I'd like to use this famous line. They will not believe.
They will not believe. They will not believe. They will not believe.
And sometimes it looks like luck, but I think it's been a culmination of just sweat, blood, and tears. And because it hasn't been an easy journey. And I'm grateful for a friend of mine who recommended me to have the gig just once, but they really liked my job. And at a point, it got to a point where I was trying to go and I was like, I'm so tired of doing so many gigs and I can't be able to help my family back home and just sustain myself. I was like, give me one person that I can work with and I can showcase the world what I have and also be able to provide for myself. And that's it. I just went for one gig after the other. We had a creatives meeting with Senator Sakaja back then. And while they were looking for a photographer for another meeting, there was like, there's this guy who took pictures at this creative meeting at KCC. Call that guy. So I kept being called for 1 or 2 events and gigs. And then I think one day I just shot my shots and I was like, we're at Sankara. I think also God just creates that way because there's no security. There was no one around. And I was like, hey boss, I've seen your pictures early in the morning. We're at Nairobi Primary. And I saw you took pictures with your phone and the selfies. And I'm like, can I be that person that will document your life? I see you have an amazing personality, not only as a politician, but as a dad and as a friend and just your social life. Let me just do that. He thought about it and I was like, are you sure? I was like, I am so sure. And called the personal assistant for that day. I was like, David, you see him and security, they'll be working with me daily. And that's how I got my job. Creativity, I think for me, is my greatest weapon. And that's what I thrive on. I fully believe there are different sides to seeing a story. Not 1 or 2, but a third angle. And if you look at me when I'm in the field, where so many photographers are stationed, I'm like so far trying to see something that they are not seeing. So that's how I set myself apart from it. Because even while getting into the government job, there's like a standard of how you should take pictures. And I'm like, the beauty about all this is everyone has something special and rare about them. And you can't keep doing the same thing that has been done over generations and generations. I'm like, this is how I shoot. And this is how my boss likes how I do my things. And so far, he's never complained about how I've been doing. And the traditional ways of shooting, I think it's long dead. At times nowadays, we shoot 3 things through cars, under the chair, and just bring out things that have never been seen. One of my most memorable days would have been the day that I actually graduated from ADMI. I think just seeing my parents there. And I was there, the valedictorian giving my speech, and they were super happy and proud. And for me, it was just them seeing their son being at this place. I think I am their wildest dreams. Because the things that they weren't able to achieve, I think they're seeing it through me. Just doing so many of the firsts that I can't mention, but I just seeing her cry, it's even more reason for me to keep pushing and bring that change that I want to see back home. Because all this that I do is not just for me, but for my siblings, for my community, and just for the greater good also for the country. Because I believe if I'm able to do this or do certain progress in my life, it will be for the greater good. I keep saying photography gave me a reason to go to the world with a purpose. And you really have to understand your why. And why do you want to go into photography? Because if you don't really understand your purpose, what do you want to do? We get for me, I knew I wanted to tell stories in a different way. I wanted to tell the African stories the way I see them, not someone from New York coming to tell how Africans live. I'll tell the real facts because I believe we have our beautiful culture, our beautiful heritage. Our culture is so diverse. So I'm like, let me just bring it out the way I see it. You get? So if for you it's street photography, is it fashion? Is it wildlife photography? Just go about it, but know the way to go about it. Look for mentors. Look for people who have been in the field. Learn through them. Because for me, I keep saying I've been an assistant to photographers more than I've been a photographer on my own shoots. Because the learning is constant. Always have to be ready to learn, stay hungry. And one of the things I'm so happy about is like the Nairobi City County government, just giving the youth a chance to do photo shoots. For me, I remember it was quite hard when I was starting out photography because we used to run, sing policemen, each and every town, city market. And you see now, they're able to make something for themselves while they're building their portfolios. While they're building their portfolios. So it's just beautiful to see how these things are coming on. But at the backbone of it, you really have to understand why are you doing photography. Part of the things that I have come to learn that has also made me want to advance my education is the fact that when you get into government, there are job groups and there are qualifications for things that you want to do. For me, I want to bring to light these ideas that I have in my mind, maybe in a managerial position or where I can tell people to do things how I see them. Because I don't want to do the same old ways of doing things. You get? So, with a good education, you can get a good job, a good salary. You might be talented, I can't lie. But with good papers, it will get you somewhere else. And also, you're able to call shots and say, you're not only just a mere creative, but you're also a professional that really understands what you're talking about. In line with my creative journey, maybe work at the UN and maybe be Secretary General of the UN. Because there's a favorite quote that I like. It says that no one should tell you that the sky is the limit when there are footprints on the moon. So you just have to keep aiming higher. And I have I think it would be good just to tell the story of our president in a different way. And I have to give mad props to the guys who are doing media at Status at the moment. They are really doing such an amazing job. And while at it, we're learning from them also. Just take it a notch higher. Yeah. So good things are in store for me. I just don't want to say them prematurely, but just wait. Good stuff are coming. Like good stuff. Don't think about it, just join. Because this is the place where you turn your passion into profession. I have seen this because I came here with so much raw talent that now had to be refined. Because I just had a rough overview of photography and just media in general. But you had to be cut into certain ways. Not only you become a photographer, but you become a well-dressed photographer, a well-spoken photographer, and a person who can speak even in front of masses. So you become a culmination of so many good things that you're not just a photographer. If you're called to do events and marketing, you can do it. Can you create a poster? So it makes you a wholesome person when you're going out in the job industry. So don't think about it. ADMI will give you everything that you need, that you need for the job industry. So I'll encourage everyone, don't even think about it, just join ADMI. To be very honest, when you walk down the streets, even in events, I'd go somewhere and I'm just watching Sauti Sol, but I see someone on the stage. That's an ADMI product. I'd go watch a theater or a play somewhere, and I'll see an ADMI student. I'm sitting there, someone is writing the script. ADMI has majorly contributed in the creative industry currently in a huge way. And you see some of us are in government, others in the corporate world, others are teaching, As in, I think we really have a diverse talent out there that ADMI is just doing an amazing job. And I can't emphasize that if people had a school to choose, this would be the premium creative art school in Kenya. So ADMI to the world. One of the things that it's one of the things that is really important and should be really sensitized is the matter of mental health in the creative industry. And it's so important to have these conversations because most of us die in silence, and not practically die, but most people just go out of their way thinking that being a creative is so hard, and it isn't. Because I believe out there are so many people who are willing to listen to you. You're not alone. Because for me, I was telling Brian that I had like my worst 3 years after I had done my internship. I was like, I didn't have a backup plan of going into the job industry. But then I felt like I was alone. But it was just a phase I was just going through. And that phase birthed on this. And now I had to put into practice all these things that I learned into school, getting one gig after the other, being presentable, and voila, here I am. So we really need to have these conversations, because at times when you ignore yourself, you ignore life itself. There's so much that life has to offer. And it's not just about working and just getting paid. There's the aspect of friendships. There's family. There are relationships that are just beautiful. And there are people who are willing, and I'll repeat this, they're willing just to listen to you. And in a society where people want to get things chap, there's beauty in contentment. Just seeing you growing from one point to the other. And I was so happy the first time, like when I got my bank card. Like all this while, I have never been paid by a bank card. I was like, when will this happen? And when it happened, I was like, wow. So things are really coming into fruition. I had to get my first suit, first tie. I was like, when will I get suits? It's a process. Because I'd look at people, I'm like, you're counting someone else's 10 years in the industry and you're just 2 years in. Give yourself time. Give yourself a break. Nothing happens overnight, and yeah. So just accept yourself and step by step. Utafika tu pale tuko. And also people like me, I'm also dreaming big for better things in life. You get? So the hustle never stops, but we keep pushing. But at times it's beautiful to take a break and just rethink everything, and Shujimanize just trying to impress people. So God bless, and ADMI to the world.